folks. Papa D coming to you from Central Florida from David Deliver Space. But right now, just wanted to deliver kind of a mini update, precursor, if you would, to our initial episode one of the new podcast we will be putting out starting very shortly. As you can see behind me, the podcast is entitled The Cupola Project. And as most of you know, the Cupola is a small viewing area that's top of a building. In the case I'm using, it is the cupola from the International Space Station, as you can see behind me. And kind of what my thought is that when you're in the cupola, you're looking down on things, you're looking down at the Earth and reporting what you see and videoing and showing what you see. And that's kind of what the Cupola Project is all about. Our intent is going to be to put out a weekly, if not more, uh, broadcast, a little mini podcast of the week's events, the goings on. If something comes up that dictates it, we will put another podcast up quickly. But when I say the we is going to be myself and my daughter. I have two daughters that are space nerds, and one of them is kindly come in to be co host on this specific endeavor. And you will meet her at episode one. Uh, Angela is located up in Tennessee. We're going to be getting her brought in via video conference. And again, episode one, we already have quasi scripted out. And we really are going to look at the Starlink program. A lot of people know that the rockets are going up. We broadcast probably 95%, if not more, of the launches. But we can say there's 23 or 20 or 25 or whatever the satellites are going up are. We can talk about them, but there's a whole lot of interesting facts to the program, more than just satellites going into orbit, a constellation being there, and providing telecommunications, providing internet. There's a whole lot more going on. So we just want to do a little episode on that, kind of go over the facts of what this system is, what the constellation is, and what it brings to us down here, and what it's going to bring to us in the future. It's very exciting. But that'll be episode one, and along with the daily goings on. One thing I wanted to talk about a little bit today, as you can see behind me, I was reviewing the tape of the scrubbed Boeing Starliner launch, and we are looking at the launch coming up again, and we're looking at attempt number two coming up next week if all holds. We will be carrying that. You can go to David Deliver Space and hit the notify button on that. We will be broadcasting that if it happens on the day it's supposed to happen. Let's just put it that way. It's supposed to be next Tuesday, so we'll be looking forward to that. But kind of the recap of kind of what happened there. Launch was scrubbed, and initially the launch was scrubbed because of what was indicated was a bad valve, pressure relief valve in one of the thrusters on the capsule. And I wanted to bring up for you just a breakout diagram so you can take a look at that. And the thrusters, of course, are in pods at the capsule at the top. And one of the valves was leaking. Apparently, they were aware of the leak, but the leak did not. They tried to recycle at launch. Again, you know the whole story. Tried to recycle, didn't work. Ended up with about almost exactly 2 hours left before T0. Crew had barely gotten in and gotten strapped down. They hadn't even closed the hatch yet, and they pulled them out. While that was being worked on, of course, it had to be rolled back. The spacecraft had to be rolled back because pressure had to be released from the capsule, the second stage, to be able to get up in and release the hatches and get up in there, work on that valve, replace that valve. They also indicated that at the time of launch, they were aware they had a small helium leak in the one of the helium tanks, again, in the command capsule. And the purpose of the helium is to pressurize the fuel system for the thrusters. Uh, Helium pressurizes the system. Oxidizers are able to enter the engine, the combustion chamber, where they combine and create the thrust. And apparently, there was a helium leak at that time that they were aware of. But in the words of Boeing, it really didn't cause a whole lot of problem. They weren't really worried about it. It wasn't significant enough, which I have trouble digesting all of that. But they figured since have to stand down for a better part of a week or so, we're replacing the valve that was bad. We'll also fix what we knew had a leak at the same time. So that's where we stand right now. The astronauts are still, best of my knowledge, standing by at the Cape because they would have to take them out of quarantine and go through the whole process, and they don't want to do that. And they are looking at a T0 of coming up on Tuesday, and we're looking forward to that. And we're hopeful that it goes off without a hitch. It is a very important spacecraft to NASA. There's been a major investment in it. I'm talking roughly $1.5 billion, I believe. And the whole intent of this second spacecraft is to have a completely second, separate spacecraft to be able to take astronauts to the International Space Station. And of course, you never want anything to go bad. You never want anything wrong to happen. But if something did to one of the commercial crew carriers under the contract, you want to have a second. And that's the reason why you have SpaceX and you have Boeing. And Boeing just hasn't had a whole lot of luck on a lot of different fronts. And we're hopeful that they can, get this thing fixed and get Starliner off the ground next Tuesday, and do it safely. And that's the key to the whole thing. I hear a lot of chatter on the internet, people just blistering about get rid of Boeing and get rid of the Starliner, and let's just. I've seen other remarks that were a little distressing about more than a little distressing about they should have just taken the opportunity. It's been long enough, and you do not take chances with folks with human lives. You just don't do it. I don't care who or what the reason or how. You just don't take chances, and NASA's never going to take a chance. Boeing's not going to take a chance. SpaceX, nobody. So that's why I was a little concerned when I heard that Boeing was aware of the leak at the time, but it was within safety parameters. I hate this, but yeah, I hate those things. Um, it's nice to be within safety parameters. To me, when you're talking about a potentially malfunctioning fuel system, I don't think there's anything beyond zero. But again, Mama didn't raise me to be an engineer. But that was a little disconcerting to me. So with that, hopefully we have these repairs made. It sounds like they will be latest information I saw coming out of NASA was that they are planning on Tuesday, and we're looking forward to that. But if it is not ready, it is not ready. The launch will take place when the launch takes place, and that's what NASA says. That's what the administrator says. We fly when we're ready. We don't fly. The window on this is as long as it needs to be. NASA has cleared. I used to work out there for a while, and NASA has cleared the calendar to the point where whatever day that meets within the parameters of safety and meets within the orbital dynamics of getting the crew safely and in a timely fashion to the ISS and complete the flight test is the timetable. And that's what it should be. It shouldn't be anything less. Pushing makes bad things happen. We've seen it before with Challenger. We've seen it with going back to Apollo 1. And we don't tolerate mistakes when dealing with the lives of our heroes and or anyone. to me, everyone that gets in a capsule is a hero, and they are not concerned. Both of our heroes are fully behind everything, and they're confident that Boeing will be ready to go and that they will have a safe flight. So we look forward to that. Check back here. Check back at David Deliver Space. Again, you can subscribe to that channel. You go ahead and hit the notify button on that specific mission, and you'll be notified when we go live on that. We're going to do our best to carry every bit of that, just like we did the first scrub. One other thing I wanted to bring up in this episode too, while we're chatting, switching gears to SpaceX. At this point, we are still waiting for a date for Flight Test 4 out of Boca Chica. Latest information I've received, that everyone has received, is that, well, we're waiting for the FAA. Go figure. Yeah. There are still repairs and there are still upgrades being done on the spacecraft as per test results that came out of Flight Test 3. The ship has been test fired, and SpaceX continues to go through the process of getting both the booster and the Starship ready for flight. There is no FAA clearance as of today, and the most recent, and again, today is the 16th, I believe. That would be correct. That's one thing about living in Florida, folks. You kind of lose track of what day it is. Today is the 16th. That would be Wednesday or Thursday. And right now, it looks like we will not have a test Flight 4 out of Boca Chica anytime this month. Latest I've heard would be going into June. Could be 2-3 weeks into June, but there's nothing right at this point in time. But they are still, again, making upgrades, and they want to make sure this flight is as close to getting perfect as they can. Test Flight 3 was a success. You can go back and check that. We have the videos on that on our channel also. Test Flight 3 was a success, and it got to further than I think they even expected. Videos were amazing. I've got some video out there of the re-entry and the just amazing video that was shot back by SpaceX. But we're looking for Flight Test 4 to be even more successful. From the word that we hear, Elon and the SpaceX folks expect to make an attempt as early as Flight Test 5 or 6 to land on the chopsticks out at Boca Chica. And first, what has to happen, as you all know, is there has to be what's best termed, I guess, a dry run of a soft landing out at sea. They will bring the both the booster and the Starship in as if it was landing on chopsticks, but it will land in the water and take a bath. Once that is accomplished and they can feel comfortable with it, the next step will be to bring Starship in for a true landing, both parts of the craft in for a landing at Boca Chica. And that, my friends, will be an amazing feat. I cannot wait to see it. And, we are behind Elon and SpaceX and everybody that works there. I know 1,000% doesn't exist numerically, but 1,000%. It's going to be amazing, and it is going to lead us into a new era. With all that's going on at NASA and the things that aren't going on at NASA, and we will cover those in another episode of the podcast. Trust me. We can go down the list with Artemis. We can go down the list with what's happened with Starliner. SpaceX is the future of us going interplanetary. And I might sit here and sound like a drum beater and a cheerleader, and you can think that if you'd like. I have been following, as have you, the amazing things that SpaceX has done since day one. And folks, if if you're not impressed, if it doesn't blow your mind what's happened in the last 6, 7 years, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I've been a space nerd since I was a kid. I'm no longer a kid. I watched Apollo, every one of them. I recall the Mercury program, Gemini program. I remember the news broadcasts of Apollo 1. I watched Apollo 13 go through its ordeal. Not the movie, kids, the real Apollo 13. When we daily checked in our nightly newscast, because that's all we got, we didn't have all the streaming and stuff we have today, to find out if those brave men were going to get home or not. And we watched in real time the amazing things that the NASA engineers did to get them home. We watched triumph, we watched tragedy. This next chapter in our commercial spaceflight history, which will be looked back on in the future as just being an unbelievable era, is what will take us to the stars. And beat the drum, do whatever you have to do. But at this point in time, and again, I'm not discounting Blue Origin or anybody else. There are a whole lot of players out there, but no one is near where Elon Musk and the people at SpaceX are. And hats off to every one of them. Gwen Shot, well, everybody. Just they are going to be the driving force that is going to get us where we are or where we need to be. I've made a joke to friends and family about the day NASA lands on Mars. Elon will meet them and tell them their beds are ready and there's chocolate on the pillow at their hotel rooms. But all kidding aside, the amazing things that are being done over in Boca Chica and out in California and out here in Florida, uh, for an old guy like me that has followed all of this history, it's uh, it's just mind blowing, and y'all need to pay attention to that and take it all in, so you can tell the young folks out there can tell your kids and your grandkids that you were here when it happened, because it's going to happen. We are going to the moon. We are going to Mars. Those things are going to happen. They're working on the potential of going to Titan. They're looking at. I think Starship will be the impetus to bring all of this about, and that's my little mini rant. But I've watched it, as many have, and this time is um, by far just no other word but mind blowing, and we all can look forward to. I think a lot of amazing things here over the next few years. So, with that being said, we are waiting on the most recent, the next test of Starship, and I got a little bit off track there, but that should be coming here, hopefully next month, and we'll be looking forward to that. A lot of other news, but I'm trying to kind of keep the initial podcast short. And again, we will have a more detailed update prior to the piece that we're putting together on Starlink. I believe episode 2 we're going to be going kind of in depth, a little bit of a deep dive with respect to been to the moon, haven't been back to the moon, the why nots, and the future of going back to the moon. And no, we are not going to talk about the aliens, and no, we're not going to talk about the. We all have our little thoughts on that, but I've left the tin hat in the other room, so unfortunately, I'm not going to get into that. But we are in process now of reteaching ourselves how to go back to the moon, which that's that's a little strange to begin with. But anyway, we will get there. We are going to get there, and we are going to see it happen. And this time it'll be to stay. It has to be to stay. It will be to stay. So, folks, with that, I just want to invite you back to our podcast. Again, the name is the Cupola Project, and you can find all the episodes as they come through on the podcast tab at David Deliver Space. I expect within probably a week or so, we'll have the first episode up. So this is going to be episode 0, I guess. Episode 1 will be coming up, and Angela and I will tag team that a little bit, and hope you enjoy it. But if you have any ideas, any thoughts, anything you want us to talk about, investigate, look into, please drop us a comment. We love the comments. Please subscribe. Please do all that YouTube stuff. Ring the bells and all that stuff up there. Believe it or not, it helps. When you like a video, it helps. Every bit of activity that happens on a page allows that page to expand a little bit further and get out to a few more people. And that's our intent. We're not a monetized page. We don't do anything. I do this because I love it. I do this because it's something I've always wanted to do. I've wanted to reach out to people, broaden the family, spread the knowledge. So we just want to get as many people involved as we can. And if you do feel like you want to help support the cause, we have a store. We've got a lot of some merchandise out there, reasonably priced stuff, some cool stuff. You can go out to daviddeliverspace.store, STORE, and that will take you to the shop. And if you want to pick up a little something to help the cause and help support the channel and the cost of operating it and bandwidth, we'd appreciate it. Every little bit helps. And again, we do this out of the love of bringing it. That's all. So we appreciate all the support. We appreciate the subscribers and everyone that's come out and spent time with us. So with that, I'm going to end this first initial podcast 0, and I invite you back for the next episode, be episode 1. And again, we'll be talking about the events of the day and / week, and the topic of discussion of the day will be talking about Starlink. And we hope you come back and check that out. Angela and I will be here together. We're working on the technical side of that. I've got that all ironed out. Not bad for a non-engineer old guy. But, whoa, autofocus. Gets you every time. With that, we'll say have a great day. Have a great Thursday. And bookmark us and check us out later. We will be back with episode 1 very shortly. Have a great day, folks. This is Papa D from Central Florida. Have a good evening.